Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to welcome you to today's presentation. We're going to explore how enterprise content management can truly harness knowledge and content to drive organizational success. The title of our session is Enterprise Content Management, Harnessing Knowledge and Content for Organizational Success, and our subtitle focuses on strategies, governance, and technologies that make content management effective, secure, and collaborative. Over the next few slides, we'll cover key strategies, best practices, and the latest technologies to help your organization succeed with content management. I'm glad you're here, so let's get started. Today, we're diving into the world of enterprise content management, or ECM for short. Essentially, ECM is all about how organizations manage their knowledge and content in a way that supports their success. It involves a set of strategies, methods, and tools that help us capture, store, organize, and deliver information efficiently. By implementing effective ECM practices, organizations can significantly improve their efficiency, ensure they stay compliant with regulations, and foster innovation. This is because ECM provides much-needed clarity and control over the vast amounts of content generated every day. As we move forward in this presentation, you'll see how mastering ECM is key to turning content into a strategic asset for your organization. Now, let's take a closer look at the business context and some of the key problems we face in content management today. First, ensuring that our content is accessible, secure, and compliant is absolutely critical. This means making sure the right people can access the information they need, while protecting sensitive data and adhering to regulatory standards. It's a balancing act that requires careful management. Next, as organizations generate more unstructured data, think emails, videos, social media posts, the challenge becomes managing this growing volume effectively. Traditional methods just can't keep up, so we need smarter solutions to handle this influx. Finally, there's the difficulty in harnessing our collective knowledge to make better decisions. Often, valuable insights are buried within the vast amounts of content we have, making it hard to tap into that knowledge when it matters most. All of these challenges tie back to our overall goal: building a robust enterprise content management system that empowers our organization to succeed in a data-driven world. Let's delve into what knowledge management really is and why it matters. Essentially, it's about how organizations handle their knowledge and content to drive success. When we talk about enterprise content management, we're referring to the strategic use of knowledge and content across the organization to improve efficiency and foster innovation. Now, within this, there are two main types of knowledge. First, we have tacit knowledge, which is personal and experience-based. This kind of knowledge is often transferred verbally or through practice. Think of the skills you learn on the job or insights gained from hands-on experience. Managing this type is crucial because it's often difficult to document but vital for organizational growth. On the other hand, there's explicit knowledge, documented information like manuals, reports, and databases. This type is much easier to share and store, making it accessible across the organization. So, in essence, knowledge management involves identifying, organizing, storing, and sharing both these types of knowledge. The goal is to leverage the collective knowledge of the organization to boost efficiency, foster innovation, and stay competitive in today's fast-paced environment. Now, let's look at the different types of knowledge within enterprise content management. First, we have tacit knowledge. This is the kind of knowledge that resides in individuals, those context-specific skills and experiences that are often hard to articulate but are crucial for how we do things. It's the know-how that people carry with them, shaped by their personal experiences and expertise. On the other hand, we have explicit knowledge. This is structured, documented content that we can easily store, organize, and retrieve. Think of manuals, reports, procedures, things that are formalized and accessible to others within the organization. Understanding the distinction between these two types of knowledge is vital because effective ECM aims to harness both. Tacit knowledge can be shared through mentorship and storytelling, while explicit knowledge is managed through systems that ensure easy access and retrieval. By integrating both, organizations can improve decision-making, streamline processes, and ultimately drive success. This slide highlights how recognizing these different knowledge types helps us better manage our content and leverage our collective intelligence more effectively. Now, let's explore the role of information architecture in enterprise content management. As we've seen, IA is the foundation for organizing and managing content effectively. It's crucial because it helps us harness knowledge and content in a way that supports organizational success. But it's important to remember that IA must be practical and adaptable. No one-size-fits-all solution works here. We need approaches that can evolve with our needs and challenges. At its core, designing IA means supporting easy retrieval of information. This is essential because if users can't find what they need quickly, the entire system loses value. Equally important is ensuring compliance, making sure that content is stored securely and in accordance with regulations. Information architecture defines how we store and organize content securely. It involves knowing exactly where and how to store different types of information so that it remains accessible yet protected. This means clearly understanding the types of data we handle and implementing storage solutions that are both efficient and secure. So, in essence, a well-thought-out IA supports not just organization and efficiency, but also safeguards our critical content, enabling our organizations to operate smoothly and confidently. Adopting a holistic view is really essential if we want to fully harness organizational intelligence. When we think about knowledge, it's not just about data or documents. It also includes relationships, processes, and even tacit insights that people hold. These are the kind of things that often go unnoticed, but are incredibly valuable. Expanding how we define knowledge helps us see the bigger picture. Organizations need to consider the context in which knowledge is created and used, as well as how collaboration and culture influence its flow. When we integrate these elements into our enterprise content management strategies, we're better equipped to turn content into a true organizational asset. So, it's all about understanding that knowledge is dynamic and interconnected, and embracing this broader perspective allows us to unlock even greater organizational success. Let's talk about some practical considerations for developing an effective information architecture. First, it's really important to remember that IA isn't a one-and-done process. We need to continuously adapt it based on user feedback and how people actually use the system. This ongoing adjustment helps ensure that our IA remains effective and user-friendly. Next, demonstrating the value of metadata is crucial. When users see how metadata improves search results, they're more likely to appreciate its importance. Good metadata makes finding information easier and more efficient, which enhances overall user experience. We also need to be careful about not forcing users into rigid structures. Flexibility is key here. If the IA is too strict, users might feel restricted or frustrated. Offering some leeway allows users to navigate content in ways that suit their needs. Anticipating resistance is another vital point. It's rare to get everyone on the same page immediately when designing IA, so we should expect some pushback. Understanding this helps us prepare better communication strategies and make smoother transitions. Finally, building a practical IA involves balancing the richness of metadata with usability. While more metadata can improve search and classification, it shouldn't overwhelm users. The goal is to find that sweet spot where the system is both rich in information and easy to navigate. All these considerations tie back to our overarching goal: creating a content management system that truly supports organizational success through smart, adaptable design. Let's dive into the challenge of findability in enterprise content management. As we see, a huge portion of data, around 80 to 90%, is actually dark data. That means it's hidden, unused, and often difficult to access. This creates a significant obstacle because organizations generate massive volumes of new documents every single day. Keeping track of all this content becomes increasingly complex. Findability remains a major pain point for many organizations. Despite advances in search technology, user frustration with search experiences continues to be high. Often, searches fail to locate the right information quickly, which hampers productivity and decision-making. However, emerging tools like Copilot are offering promise here. They aim to improve discovery by surfacing hidden content more effectively, making it easier to find what you need when you need it. Overall, enhancing findability is crucial for leveraging knowledge and content to drive organizational success. Now, let's explore the importance of clear policies within governance. Having well-defined policies helps us prevent unauthorized access and ensures we stay compliant with regulations. It's about setting the boundaries and rules that everyone understands and follows. Next, governance must address platforms like Teams, OneDrive, and SharePoint in a cohesive way. These environments are interconnected, so a unified approach ensures consistent controls and security across all of them, making management more effective. A key part of governance is defining roles and permissions. This is how we control who can access what and what actions they can perform. Role-based access control, or RBAC, is crucial here because it assigns user privileges based on their roles, ensuring everyone has the right level of access. By implementing RBAC, we make sure that users have appropriate privileges, no more, no less. This not only enhances security, but also streamlines how we manage content access across our organization. Overall, clear policies and RBAC work together to create a secure, compliant, and efficient content management environment that aligns with our overall organizational goals. Now, let's look at the impact of unmanaged teams on our architecture. When teams operate without proper oversight, it can lead to significant risks for security and compliance. Unmanaged teams often create gaps that make it easier for sensitive information to be exposed or mishandled. Fortunately, there are tools available that help us monitor these situations, govern team activities, and effectively mitigate these risks before they escalate. Another critical issue is how unmanaged teams can undermine our efforts to maintain proper metadata and classification. Without control, important organizational information can become inconsistent or lost, making it harder to find and manage content later on. And perhaps most concerning is the disruption caused by uncontrolled content sprawl. When teams aren't managed properly, content can proliferate wildly, leading to chaos within our information architecture. This uncontrolled growth not only hampers efficiency, but also increases the risk of losing valuable knowledge. So overall, unmanaged teams pose serious challenges. But with the right tools and strategies, we can keep these risks in check and ensure our content remains organized, secure, and aligned with our organizational goals. Let's talk about governance as a journey, not a destination. It's an ongoing process that evolves over time, much like our overall organizational success. When it comes to enterprise content management, the key is harnessing knowledge and content effectively. This helps us stay aligned and achieve our goals. Now, a really important principle to keep in mind is KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. By simplifying our governance practices, we make them more practical and much easier to adopt across the organization. Regular feedback loops with site owners are crucial. These ongoing conversations help us refine and improve our governance practices over time, ensuring they stay relevant and effective. Policies should be straightforward and accessible. If everyone can understand and find them easily, we're more likely to see widespread adoption and compliance. Encouraging collaboration and cooperation among teams is also vital. When we work together and share ideas, our governance frameworks become stronger and more resilient. It's also better to focus on broad guidelines rather than rigid rules. This flexibility allows us to adapt quickly to changing needs without feeling constrained. And of course, governance should be fluid and flexible. Our plans need to evolve alongside the organization, so they remain effective and aligned with our goals. In summary, effective governance is a continuous, adaptable journey that relies on simplicity, collaboration, and ongoing improvement. let's talk about building a solid foundation with metadata. Metadata is essential in enterprise content management because it helps us harness knowledge and content more effectively for organizational success. First, metadata ensures data portability by preserving the context of information. This makes it much easier to transfer and use data across different systems without losing its meaning or relevance. Next, when we leverage metadata, it significantly improves search rankings and categorization. This means users can find what they need faster and more accurately, which is crucial for efficiency. Another key point is that metadata helps us distinguish between similar objects. This clarity and precision in data handling reduce confusion and ensure we're working with the right information. Metadata also enables advanced sorting, filtering, and grouping of data. This capability allows us to manage large volumes of information more effectively and tailor views to specific needs. Supporting rapid information location is another vital role of metadata. It helps users quickly locate and navigate through data, saving time and improving productivity. Finally, metadata plays a pivotal role in organizing and structuring different types of data within our ECM systems. This organization makes the entire content management process smoother and more coherent. All these points highlight how metadata is foundational to creating a more efficient, organized, and accessible content management environment, aligning perfectly with our goal of leveraging knowledge for success. Now, let's delve into classification and records management, which are essential parts of enterprise content management. This slide emphasizes the principles and practices involved in managing records effectively to support organizational success. First, it's important to understand that proper records management helps ensure compliance with regulations and legal requirements. It also plays a critical role in preserving organizational memory, allowing the organization to retain valuable knowledge over time. The purpose of records management revolves around a few key points. We need to define what content must be retained, making sure that important information is preserved for future reference. Capturing records appropriately is also vital, meaning that we record and categorize information correctly from the start. Additionally, managing content disposition, deciding when and how to dispose of records, and access controls to protect sensitive information are crucial components. Now, focusing on the key aspects, records are considered immutable, meaning once created, they shouldn't be altered. They are tightly controlled to prevent unauthorized changes and are auditable, which means we can track how they are accessed and modified. This level of control ensures integrity and accountability in our records management process. Finally, when we define what a record is, we're talking about content that has been captured and maintained for evidence of an activity, decision, or transaction. By managing records effectively, we support organizational transparency, compliance, and the efficient retrieval of information when needed. This is all central to harnessing knowledge and content for organizational success. Managing the data lifecycle effectively is crucial, and that's where retention policies come into play. On this slide, we're focusing on how enterprise content management helps us harness knowledge and content for organizational success. One key point is that labels can be automatically applied, which really streamlines compliance. This automatic labeling can be based on sensitive information types, keywords, or classifiers, making the process much more efficient and less prone to human error. Another important aspect is that globally defined labels can override default retention settings. This gives us the flexibility to adapt our policies as needed, ensuring we meet both organizational and regulatory requirements. It's about having that dynamic control rather than a one-size-fits-all approach. We also have static policies, which are applied per location. This consistency helps us govern specific areas reliably, so we know exactly how content is managed in different parts of the organization. Lastly, retention policies can adapt based on content attributes. This means our lifecycle management isn't static, but can be tailored to the specific characteristics of each piece of content. Overall, these strategies help us manage data more intelligently, aligning retention with our organizational goals and compliance needs. Now, let's look at security in ECM, specifically focusing on policies and permissions. One of the key aspects is auditing and reporting. This allows us to monitor our security posture by tracking access and changes, helping us identify any potential security issues early on. Next, we have external sharing restrictions. It's crucial to set limitations on how content is shared outside the organization to prevent data leaks or unauthorized access. When managing permissions, item and folder level controls are vital. They give us the ability to set granular controls, ensuring that only the right people can access specific content. This ties into inheritance models for permissions, where permissions can be inherited from parent folders to streamline management, but also customized when needed. Security groups and classification schemes are another important layer. These help organize users and content, simplifying the application of policies and controls. Finally, policies that define user permissions and access are the foundation of a secure ECM environment. Clear, well-defined policies ensure everyone understands their access rights and responsibilities, reinforcing the overall security strategy. All of these elements come together to create a robust security framework that supports organizational success by protecting valuable content while enabling authorized access. Understanding permissions and sharing controls is crucial for managing our content effectively. These controls help us maintain data integrity and ensure compliance with organizational policies and regulations. It's about creating a balance, being open enough to facilitate collaboration, but secure enough to protect sensitive information. Applying sharing controls allows us to strike that balance between openness and security. We can control who has access to what, ensuring the right people have the right permissions without exposing data to unnecessary risks. Controlling user and group access is a key part of this process. By managing access at the user and group level, we can tailor permissions to specific roles and responsibilities within the organization. Managing securable objects, such as sites, libraries, and documents, is also essential. We assign permissions to these objects in a way that aligns with our security policies and operational needs. Finally, implementing well-defined permission sets based on roles helps streamline access management. When permissions are aligned with roles, it becomes easier to enforce consistent security policies and ensure that users have appropriate access for their work. All these controls work together to support our overarching goal: leveraging content securely to drive organizational success. Now, let's take a closer look at some of the key techniques in data loss prevention, or DLP. One important aspect is the integration with sensitivity labels. These labels help us categorize and protect data based on its sensitivity, making it easier to enforce policies consistently. Moving on, we have configurable rules for policy conditions. This means we can tailor our DLP policies to fit specific organizational needs, ensuring that the right protections are applied in the right contexts. Another critical point is exact data matching, which is especially useful for identifying non-standard data that doesn't follow typical patterns. This ensures we're not missing sensitive information just because it looks a little different. Sensitive data classification with custom types allows us to define unique categories for our data, giving us more precise control over how different types of sensitive information are handled. Lifecycle management is also a key concept. It allows us to manage the entire lifecycle of policies, from creation to retirement, maintaining consistency over time. Finally, having unified policy definitions across workloads ensures that our security measures are consistent no matter which systems or applications are involved, streamlining management and reducing gaps. All of these techniques come together to create a strong, flexible, and comprehensive DLP strategy that supports organizational success by protecting our most valuable information. Now, let's look at some key methods for protecting information across our organization. First, we have data maps, which are essential for visualizing and managing data flows. By mapping out where our data travels and resides, we can better understand potential vulnerabilities and ensure proper control. Next, we have data visualization and management tools that help us keep an eye on our data assets in real time, making it easier to spot issues before they become problems. Moving on, we also utilize Defender for cloud apps, which is critical for monitoring and protecting our cloud environments. As more of our work moves to the cloud, having robust protection here is vital. To cover all bases, we employ desktop clients and on-premises scanners, giving us comprehensive coverage whether data is stored locally or in the cloud. Another important layer is information rights management, or IRM, which allows us to restrict how data is used, controlling who can access, edit, or share sensitive information. Encryption is fundamental, securing our data both at rest and during transit, ensuring it remains confidential even if intercepted. Finally, sensitivity labels play a crucial role in classifying data based on its sensitivity level. These labels help us manage access and apply appropriate controls, aligning with our overall goal of safeguarding organizational knowledge. All these methods work together to build a strong, layered approach to information protection, supporting our mission of organizational success through knowledge security. Let's talk about auditing for compliance and insights. Auditing capabilities are essential because they provide visibility across various tools like the Security and Compliance Center, Defender, and Purview. These tools help us keep an eye on what's happening within our environment, ensuring everything is transparent and under control. One of the key benefits is that they generate insightful reports on content lifecycle events. This means we can track how content is created, modified, accessed, and eventually disposed of, giving us a clear picture of its journey. Another critical aspect is that auditing provides the evidence we need for regulatory compliance. This is vital because it helps us demonstrate adherence to industry standards and legal requirements. Additionally, these capabilities support forensic analysis and activity tracking. In case of any security incidents or suspicious activity, we can dig deep and understand exactly what occurred and when. Lastly, auditing offers searchable logs across multiple services, making it easier to locate specific information quickly and efficiently. Overall, these auditing features are a cornerstone of maintaining security, compliance, and operational insights, aligning perfectly with our goal of harnessing knowledge and content for organizational success. Now, let's talk about secure data export in the context of eDiscovery within enterprise content management. When it comes to legal and regulatory processes, being able to export content securely is absolutely crucial. It ensures that sensitive information remains protected while still being accessible for necessary reviews and audits. Next, we have comprehensive searches, which involve conducting tenant-wide searches. This means you can search across the entire organization's content to find all relevant data quickly and efficiently, saving time and reducing the risk of missing important information. Applying in-place holds and preservation policies is another key aspect. These features help ensure that critical data remains unaltered and preserved exactly as it was at a specific point in time, which is often a requirement during legal investigations or compliance checks. Creating and managing legal cases is also a vital part of eDiscovery. This functionality allows legal teams to organize and track all related content and activities in one place, streamlining the entire process. Finally, quick data management encompasses the ability to find, preserve, analyze, and package diverse data types rapidly. This capability is essential in today's fast-paced legal environments, enabling organizations to respond swiftly and effectively to eDiscovery demands. All these components work together to make content management more secure, efficient, and aligned with legal and regulatory requirements, ultimately supporting organizational success. Let's explore how we can empower organizations through enterprise content management. First, it's important to recognize that knowledge isn't just about documents or manuals. It also includes tacit knowledge like skills and experiences that reside within people. Both explicit and tacit knowledge are vital for organizational success. Next, we need to enable users with the right tools and processes. These should make it easy to create, manage, and retrieve content, ultimately making knowledge more accessible and usable across the organization. Fostering a culture where knowledge sharing is actively encouraged is also crucial. When employees feel supported in sharing what they know, the organization becomes more innovative and agile. Additionally, moving beyond content silos is essential. Instead of isolated pockets of information, we should harness the collective knowledge of the entire organization. Collaboration and open sharing become powerful drivers for growth. Finally, it's important to understand that ECM is more than just storing documents. It's about rethinking how we manage knowledge, focusing on context, fostering collaboration, and nurturing a culture that values shared knowledge. This holistic approach transforms how organizations operate, making them more adaptable and informed. Now, let's talk about designing for findability and usability. As we know, a large portion of organizational data, sometimes between 80 and 90%, remains hidden or hard to access. That's where tools like Copilot come into play, helping surface that valuable content so users can find what they need more easily. Addressing what we call dark data is crucial here. By improving metadata, we can significantly enhance search results, which in turn helps gain user buy-in because they see immediate value. When it comes to metadata, it's important to demonstrate its value clearly. Instead of forcing users into rigid information architecture models, we should adapt based on their feedback and how they actually use the system. Flexibility is key. We want to avoid overcomplicating things, so our metadata should be tailored to organizational needs, striking a balance between richness and simplicity, keeping the user experience smooth and intuitive. Building a strong information architecture is essential. Structured data helps improve navigation, making it easier to sort, filter, and rank search results effectively. Ultimately, investing in good metadata is investing in effective content management, because when information is easy to find and use, organizational success follows. So remember, effective content management hinges on making information accessible and user-friendly at every step. Let's talk about the importance of governing with flexibility and adaptability. As organizations, we need to manage risks, especially in uncontrolled environments like Microsoft Teams. This means applying the right tools and policies to keep things secure and compliant without stifling innovation. It's also crucial to regularly gather feedback from site owners and users. Their insights help us understand what's working well and what needs adjustment, enabling continuous improvement. Making our governance frameworks easy to understand and accessible is another key point. When policies are clear and straightforward, compliance naturally increases because people know what's expected of them. Focusing on broad guidelines rather than overly rigid rules encourages collaboration. We want to set the direction, but leave room for teams to adapt and be creative within those boundaries. Creating fluid governance plans is essential. They should be designed to evolve over time, allowing us to respond to changing needs and circumstances. And remember, governance isn't a one-and-done task. It's an ongoing journey that requires us to continuously refine and improve our approaches as our organization grows and changes. By embracing this mindset, we foster a culture of adaptability and resilience, ultimately supporting our organizational success. Now, as we look to wrap up our discussion, let's focus on the calls to action and next steps. First, it's crucial to build adaptable governance frameworks that can evolve alongside our organization's changing needs. This means creating policies and structures that are flexible enough to grow and adapt over time. Next, we should invest in metadata and information architecture that users can actually leverage. The goal here is to improve discoverability, making it easier for people to find the content they need quickly and efficiently. Another vital point is to shift our focus from just managing content to considering the broader context. think about collaboration, culture, and how content fits within the overall organizational ecosystem. Rethinking content management in this way helps foster a more integrated and productive environment. We also need to pilot new approaches, test small, learn fast, and then expand thoughtfully based on real-world usage. The idea is to start small, iterate, and scale smartly, avoiding unnecessary risks while embracing innovation. Finally, empowering your people is key. Provide them with proper training, ongoing support, and channels for feedback. When people understand how to manage content properly, they become active contributors to your content strategy. And of course, safeguarding your data is essential. Implementing sensitivity labels, data loss prevention measures, and auditing practices ensures your data remains protected throughout its life cycle. In summary, these steps, governance, findability, culture, experimentation, empowerment, and security are interconnected. Together, they help us harness knowledge and content effectively, driving organizational success.